Good day, everyone, and welcome to Highlights from this week. This is our show where I discuss news that intrigued me this week. So let's get started. The first item on our agenda today is from TechCrunch, and it's about Google open sourcing their Chrome browser for iOS. So this is just a quick news update from them. That informs you that they will be open sourcing their Chrome iOS library just like they have with their Chromium open source project, and it'll become a part of the Chromium open source project. This has been a difficulty for Google because in the past, the iOS app needed to support Apple's WebKit protocols, which made it difficult for them to integrate it, and they had to develop for it separately. But finally, over time, they've worked on getting it to work together, and now that it's part of the same thing as the Chromium project, they will now be able to actually develop the updates for the iOS version of Chrome much faster, which will actually mean that the iOS version will continue to get updates much faster as well, and testing and everything can still happen at a much faster rate than it has been for a while now. So this is great news for anybody who's using iOS and is also using Chrome on their like Apple smartphones. Anyway, that's just a quick update from Google Chrome. Next, we move on to something a little bit, I would say, Trump related. I try to avoid a lot of politics in these shows because this is more of a technology show, technology and gaming mainly. But in this case, it kind of is technology related, so I will talk about it. Basically, with the most recent stuff that's going on with Trump and a lot of science is being reduced in terms of funding and support by the new administration. China kind of fired some shots towards US, showing that they will be expediting their the supercomputing side of or more like exascale computing on their side. Basically, China's trying to remind Trump that supercomputing has always been a race, and US and China has been kind of head to head on this and trying to beat each other out. And they're kind of trying to say, if you're not gonna fund your sciences and your supercomputing, which is mainly government funded, you're gonna fall behind. And that's why China has shown that they've actually reached reached a higher progress on their prototype, and they hope to get this exascale supercomputer by the end of this year, which is pretty massive deep in their hopes. They still estimate the delivery date to be in 2020, but it may come earlier in around 2019, which was when US was hoping to have their system as well. But seeing as Trump and his administration has cut funding almost to 2008 levels of funding, it may actually cause them to not be able to achieve this by 2019. So we're just gonna have to wait and see how this plays out. Basically, I think it's important. I think it's just in terms of computing, government funded research into this type of computing, it automatically trickles down to other pieces of computing that goes on beyond that. So in terms of personal computers, smartphones, anything like that, it's important that we have constant research and constant support from the government in terms of the technology, so that technology can keep moving forward and make better strides in innovation. Something this powerful, something like this exascale computer, which is about 200 times more powerful than the previous petaflop systems, would be very beneficial. I mean, if you think about things like weather detection, stuff like that, that'll actually require a lot more power. These types of systems will actually help with that and better help science progress as well. So it's important that governments actually, put some money into it, put some effort into it, and just like the space race, computing is also a race, and I think China is trying to kind of fire shots at US and say, hey, we're still in the game, and hopefully you are too. Next, from there, let's move on to some story from Tesla, specifically Tesla's energy division. So this is from Electric, and it's basically about how Tesla quietly brings online its massive 80 megawatt hour Powerpack station in Southern California. So this is kind of interesting because these Powerpacks that are not their existing Powerpacks. For those of you who didn't know, in 2015, Tesla started their Tesla Energy division, where they were selling power packs, and these power packs were about 100 kilowatt hour power packs, which basically you would attach it, mount it to your house or somewhere in your house, and you would store energy at off-peak times and then use it during peak times so that you save some money. Now this is taking that to a whole new level. First of all, this is using Tesla's next generation power pack, so this is Powerpack 2, which is supposed to have about 210 kilowatt hours, which is more than double the previous amount. And again, like I said, this is an 80 megawatt hour power pack station, so there's a lot of power packs in here. And this is going to be connected straight to the grid in Southern California, and they're hoping to use this to avoid having building another natural gas peaker plants. Natural gas peaker plants are basically power plants that run at peak times to give power to the grid when you need it. And they shut down a power plant in Aliso Canyon. It's called the Aliso Canyon Natural Gas Reservoir, and basically they had a catastrophic rupture in 2015, which ended up taking it out of commission. And this kind of is a plan to replace that with these batteries instead, which is much more better on the environment. And you're not using natural gas at all. You're just using the energy that's already there, and you're just saving it up, storing it for when you need it, and using it when you need it. So this saves some money, and this is kind of a trial run, and they're trying to see how it's going to be implemented, how well it's going to work. Now, Tesla hasn't really released this to the public yet, so they haven't really released any numbers. So we're just gonna have to wait and see it until they make an official, opening. But right now, it is running, and they're testing it out, and they're trying to see how they could make it work better and make it more efficient before they bring it out to the public, I'm assuming. But the hope is that things like this will eventually make it so that more and more areas around the world are going to actually implement this type of energy storage, compared to just having idling gas power plants waiting to run when they need it. So yeah, this might be a pretty big deal for Tesla's future, and definitely for everyone's future, as this may be the future in energy, especially if you're using solar and something like that, where you really do need to save the energy, because solar is only available during the daytime when there's light. And next, we have an article from The Independent. And this is, again, a little bit Trump related, so I'm sorry about bringing politics into it, but a lot of stuff that has been happening recently, even in the technology sector, has been a little bit Trump related. So basically, they released, what happened was, NASA and other organizations have been kind of being told to be quiet about anything relating to climate change, or anything that really the new administration doesn't want. And this has sparked some criticism by many, and also at the same time, it has sparked some employees of these official government sectors to create anonymous Twitter accounts, or rogue Twitter accounts, that allow that basically resist Trump's saying. So even though these agencies are being told not to talk about climate change or whatever, instead of just not doing it at all, they're creating anonymous Twitter accounts, and they're just feeding all the stuff through there instead of using the official channels. And this is kind of interesting because basically it's come to a point where, you know, the government is trying to kind of keep you quiet, keep science and stuff under, and basically they're trying to regulate what information people get and what information they don't get. Keep in mind that this is content that used to be on the government website that they're asking for it to be removed, right? So it's pretty scary, and I've actually seen more people trying to back up the NASA websites and other websites that had, you know, true information that are now being slowly shut down under the new party. So it's pretty interesting. It's interesting what's going to happen, and it's kind of interesting to see how this is going to go. I'm kind of wondering if they're going to try to crack down on this. I know these are like anonymous Twitter accounts, but I wonder how much you know, the NSA is going to have to say about this. You know, CIA and NSA have access to these details, and they may make a legal request to for these Twitter accounts and try to track those people down. And again, after they track them down, what are they going to do with them? It's really interesting because they're using technology to not remain silent. They're trying to fight back, and they're trying to keep people informed even when the government is telling them not to. So it's just kind of interesting to see what happens, and you know, why are they doing this? I mean, it's information that they had. They're not losing money to have it hosted on their websites. And it's valuable for knowledge. I mean, they're ruining America's chances of, you know, success, because you want your citizens to be informed. So even the younger generations, they'll grow up to be, you know, scientists and engineers and stuff like that, so that they can actually support the country. By doing this, they're not going to have access to this information, and, you know, that's how you fall behind. A lot of tech people have spoken about this, and I think that's where this is going if they continue to do this. From there, again, something somewhat related to Trump, but not really. It's about ride-sharing apps. So this is regarding Uber and Lyft and the strike that happened on at JFK over the weekend, I think, where the Taxi Workers Alliance were holding a strike against Trump's position on immigration, where Trump has been trying to keep Muslim refugees from entering the country. So the Taxi Workers Alliance had a I'm losing words for this. They had a protest outside the JFK airport, and they asked Uber and Lyft and all these other ride sharing apps to also you know, kind of help out, and also commit to not servicing those areas for like an hour. Now, during the same time, Uber put a tweet out saying that they will be actually not having any surge pricing or anything like that. And I think they did it kind of not to take advantage of the situation, I think, because they said they were taking off surge pricing, even though it came across as saying, hey, we're not even charging you extra so that you can use us instead of using taxis. So that's how it came across, and it kind of pissed a lot of people off, and it started this whole delete Uber hashtag. And it's really been affecting Uber. And at the same time, it's also been supporting Lyft, and Lyft has been going up really, really high. Now, I'm not a specific supporter of each one of these things. I just support ride sharing in general. I don't believe that taxis should have a monopoly. But I don't support any specific company in general. I like Uber, I like Lyft, and I like what they're doing, and I hope they'll continue with the consumer's best interests in heart. But basically, Lyft has been surging to the top 10 position in Apple's App Store, while Uber has slowly been losing people because people have continuously are deleting their Uber apps off their phone in a way to kind of protest what Uber had done. But what people are missing is that, you know, at this time, Lyft didn't really stop servicing JFK either. So it's not like, Uber continued while Lyft also protested. Lyft also, serviced JFK. It's just that Uber is the one that did that tweet, and it came out at the wrong place at the wrong time, kind of thing. And anyway, so that's the thing. From that fallout, Uber kind of pledged, I think, $1 million towards, $3 million towards the defense fund to help cover legal and immigration stuff for their own drivers affected by the ban. So they're trying to kind of make things better by saying, hey, if there's any of our drivers who are affected by this, we're going to support them, give them money so that they can figure things out. And that seems like a good thing. But then again, you can see that Lyft had donated $1 million to the ACLU, and the ACLU is not really related to Uber. In this case, Uber is like the 3 million is kind of like almost an empty gesture because it's towards your own people. Whereas the 1 million over, even if it's over 4 years, to the ACLU, that's still a lot of money going towards the public good. It's not affecting just the Lyft's company; it's affecting many people who the ACLU protects. So in that case, yeah, Lyft did do a better job of, I think, handling that. I think Uber doing a full 3 million towards their own people and nothing towards ACLU or anything like that, kind of what seemed more like just a gesture to show that they were good rather than just trying to help out in this case. But yeah, so it's gonna be a issue. We'll see how this fallout's gonna be. I don't know how deep this is actually gonna hit. There's been a lot of people saying bye to Uber, especially tweeting out the delete Uber thing on Twitter. But this, I don't know if you don't know if people are actually hitting delete after they showed the screenshots, or if it's just people trying to be interesting on Twitter. Either way, we'll see how this hits Uber's bottom line and see if there's any effect at all, and we'll see what happens after there. And I think something that goes right along with this is some news from the ACLU, which turns out they've received a record amount of donations over the weekend, which is pretty big. I think they've received $24.1 million in donations over just that one weekend. Now that's a huge amount if you look at the fact that, in contrast, over the previous year in online donations, they've only normally received about 4 million, and that's for a whole year. So if you look at just online donations and over like that 1 year, it's 4 million. This is 6 times as much money over one weekend, and that's a huge amount of significant, and that money speaks in that case, because from there you could see how many people are kind of opposed to this, the immigration bans and kind of all the stuff, and they're really looking forward to ACLU, which is the American Civil Liberties Union, protecting the people, fighting the government for the people, and trying to look at their constitutional rights and try to keep that in check. So by keeping the government in check, it'll help people retain those rights even through this Trump presidency. So again, this is really interesting. I really hope that the ACLU actually makes good use of the money, maybe hires more lawyers or whatever they do to actually make an impact. They're definitely going to be way ahead of what they were before, because with all of this donation, and I'm assuming there's going to be way more. This is the $24.1 million is just in the previous weekend. But if you consider the whole, Trump inauguration and all the things that led up to where we are now, and even stuff that are still remaining to happen for the rest of the year, the amount of money that they might make over this year is even more. So it's just a matter of how they're going to use that money, if they're going to make good use out of it, if they're actually going to protect people's freedoms that like they're supposed to. How they're going to use the money, we don't know. But right now, they seem very grateful for the people for donating the money, and they're hoping to put it to good use. So let's hope that they do. Next is about Amazon. So for gamers out there, especially PC gamers, Steam is a very important place. Steam is where we get games for for a much cheaper price than buying it at a store, and we get great sales, one library that helps you easily maintain all your games and update them and everything without having to worry about much. Well, what it seems like is Amazon has filed some new patents and are in the development of a new game distribution platform. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to create a software like Steam, or at least a distribution system in a similar manner, so that they could distribute games and also at the same time have people use that system to stream games, live streaming and other things like that, even going as far as to do trials and demos and stuff like that as well. So essentially they're trying to take on Steam in the gaming market. We've seen them do this a lot recently with Amazon, like just shopping. They've been selling gaming consoles like the PlayStation and the Xbox, as well as games for those consoles. So it's interesting that they're now targeting the PC market a bit more. But I'm pretty sure this is not exclusively the PC market. People are just equating this to the PC market because of the fact that it looks kind of like Steam. I'm pretty sure they're trying to just all the gaming markets possible, but they're trying to do it in a single place, and hopefully they're trying to make it look like Amazon's TV services or anything like that. And it's going to be interesting to see what it is. There are some patents that they've made, so they're going to be they're trying to develop something unique, and I think we're just gonna have to see. But it's going to be called Amazon Interactive, at least right now, and it's probably going to come out sometime later this year, at least some sort of announcement regarding. I don't think they're going to wait too long now that it's kind of out of the bag. But I don't think they're going to rush into it either, because I feel like if they do, they're going to fall flat. They've done a couple things where they haven't been as successful as they could have been, so they might take their time and try to make sure they do it right. Right now, their best way to do it, I think, is just to target Prime members and make things even more of a value. I think that's what they've been trying to do. They've been trying to make everything, including TV, very, like, that Prime membership is very valuable to have, because you get so much for so little. And I think if they somehow manage to incorporate gaming into this, especially new games, 5-star games, anything that costs a lot, and make it cheap or free, I think that'll be a massive jump in terms of customer base. But they'll have to see. I think the DRM thing is going to be another problem. I think Steam also has issues with DRM, and people generally, especially in the PC market, do not enjoy DRM. So if they are going to do something, they're going to have to do it in a way that it'll appease the PC master race, if you will. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. I think today's topics were pretty quick ones. There's not really much else to talk about. But I'll try to do another one next week, and that way, it's much faster. The last one took about 40 minutes, which is, I think, way too long. But I think this is about a good amount of time for a weekly news show. Anyway, let's go to our pick of the week, and that is some interesting link that I have for you. Today's interesting link, or the pick of the week, is called the Adobe color wheel. And this is not really like the ones I've done before, but it's useful for a certain group of people, and I hope it's useful for you for whatever reason. But I just found it really neat, and the fact that it's a web app means that you can bookmark it and use it whenever you feel like it, rather than downloading an app or something that does this. But I find this interesting. It's so the Adobe color wheel is part of their normal CC Creative Cloud package. Basically, you could just see it's a big color wheel with different colors, and you can move this wheel around in any way, and you can use it to pick colors that complement other colors, or using whatever color rule. So over here you can see that there's a color rule up here on the top left screen, and right now it's on analogous, but there's more other rules like monochromatic, triad, complementary, compound, shades, and custom, and each of these will change kind of the way that the color wheel works and the colors that it outputs. So for example, if we want to pick complementary colors, these are colors that are kind of on opposite sides of the wheel, and no matter where you are, it needs to be on the opposite side of the wheel. So you pick a color in the middle and it'll give you other colors in these boxes that are complementing of the color that you picked. And I think it's really useful, very highly featured, and it'll help you pick colors that'll look good and kind of help you pick things that are eye-catching for whatever project that you're working on. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. Check it out, play around with it, see what colors you could come up with. There's a really cool thing, and at the bottom it tells you the RGB and the hex numbers, so that if you want to use this in a web or media related thing, you could just copy the numbers and it'll put that same color into whatever project you're using. Anyway, that's about it for the pick of the week, and that means we're at the ending of our weekly show. Next, I would just like to mention our blog from last time, our website at LKNOne.com, and you could go there for links to the topics that we discussed in today's show, as well as all other shows, as well as some other unboxings and stuff that aren't on the YouTube channel. So if you like our stuff, then go check that out as well. Anyway, guys, that's about it for this week's video. We would love to hear from you, your opinions on today's topics and anything else. So please remember to leave a comment or contact us through our social network accounts. And also, please use them to suggest any interesting topics for future shows, whether it's for the weekly show, the highlights from this week, or whether it's for unboxings and reviews as well. So any shows we do, we would really like to get your input as well. So yep, as always, please remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and check out our other videos. And until next time, everyone, peace.